Good theme song, good theme song. What up, what up, what up? Happy hump day, everyone. Pardon me, but I do have a little cold little bug going on here, so excuse me. But I did not want to miss another wonderful ladies' night that we have tonight. So I'm braving through this cold. Excuse me. Thank everyone for tuning in to the Platform Sports Talk Show. It's your girl Bunny, and of course, it's this ladies' night. Happens to be the first of the month. Hey, it doesn't mean anything extra for me. I'm not getting any extra check or anything on the first of the month. But if you are, congratulations to you. Please do share. The way gas prices is going up, any little penny I get right now, I'm actually really happy for an extra penny. Anyway, we got to give a shout out to everyone from number one person, the host with the most, DJ Fred, aka Smoooth. Thank you for having another wonderful ladies' night. Thank you for working behind the scenes like you always do. And if you are right now streaming on Facebook, make sure you have any comments, leave it under the Platform Sports Talk Show. And if you are on YouTube, you're tuning in, please make sure you hit that bell. I need you to subscribe, hit the bell. Also, we are streaming on Hot 365 Radio. So hello to everyone out there on Hot 365. And all our shows are streaming live. I'm sorry. All of our shows are archived on the Roku channel. So if you miss it on Wednesday nights, or if you missed the Man Cave, which is the last Wednesday of the month, or the first Wednesday of the month with Ladies Night, you can always catch us on the Roku channel, okay? So without further ado, let's bring in Jobo. And you're like, why? She don't get introduction? Yes, Jobo gets introduction, but Jobo knows so much, and she's been on here so often. I'm like, Jobo, tell me you can introduce yourself. You got skills like that.
They know who I am by now, and as our guy Fred would say, from the boondocks. So that's where I'm reporting live from. But yeah, happy Wednesday. This week is feeling weird already because we were all off work on Monday, or hopefully you guys were off work on Monday. But yeah, I woke up this morning with that song in my head and the one that you're always singing on Ladies' Night, Money. So those songs have been in my head all week.
It's okay. It's a good thing. Hey, I just realized that because it was a holiday on Monday, we got a short work week. And we're at the first of the month, like halfway through the year, you all. This is June. Like I promise you, I feel like we was just going through the most of the getting over winter, heading into spring. Here we are almost in summer.
Yeah. Hi, Miss Williams. Happy Wednesday. But yeah, it's 6 months and we're gonna be celebrating Mia's birthday all over again. So it's flying by. But I will say it's vacation month for us over here, so I'm excited.
All right. Vacationing with the what? 1, 2, the doggo. Is you, Mia, friend, the dog going or no?
No, we got a couple other family members going.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're going to Pensacola, so it's exciting.
Ooh, Pensacola. All I think of is the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. Next up for our wonderful panel for Ladies' Night. Honestly, I can introduce you. I'll give you a whole little background, but y'all seen them a few times on here. Their personalities are amazing, out of this world. And then we have one that's, of course, a sportscaster and a reporter with a Channel 2 and Channel 11, right? Combination. And we have another one that's a basketball coach / trainer. So both of them have basketball backgrounds in their blood. So first off, I forgot to mention that we also have Miss Missouri, soon to be hopefully Miss USA. Without further ado, Money McGee Michaela.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Good. How's it going with you?
It's going well. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Joe, I agree with you. Monday's got me thrown off. It felt like it was a Saturday today. So I'm just trying to get into the swing of things, but I'm ready to get going with you ladies.
Hey, thanks for joining us as always. Do I have that right? Channel 2 and Channel 11?
Yes, so Channel 2 is our main station, Channel 11 is our sister station. So I was with them for almost 3 years, intern, sports anchor, and news reporter, and I've now had to just step away because I did just get crowned Miss Missouri USA and will be pursuing a Miss USA here, I believe, in October. So
exciting. Like,
And how's that 75 hard going?
oh my gosh, yes. So for everyone tuning in, I started the 75 Hard Challenge. And if you don't know what it is, it's this mental toughness challenge that was created by Andy Frisella. And basically, it's a very strict daily schedule that you have to do for 75 days. So you have to work out at least 2 times a day for 45 minutes. One of those workouts has to be outside. You get to create your own diet, but it has to be catered towards a healthy lifestyle, healthy living. So if you want to lose weight, cater it to that. No alcohol, a gallon of water a day, and you have to read 10 pages of a self-help book per day as well. So I am on day 11 today. I did start and then messed up on day 3 because I didn't get a gallon of water. And so I've had to start over, but I'm on day 11 now. I'm on track and I'm actually feeling really, really good.
Awesome, girl. Woo.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's 75 hard for a reason. It's hard, but
Yeah, and if we hopeful fingers crossed for our July special guest, she did that as well. Her and someone on the radio. But yeah, Andy Frisella, like you said, he's from here, and he's the one. If you guys notice, looking at the backdrop at Busch Stadium, if you see the First Form logo, he's the one that started all that stuff. And there's WWE guys using their products, and baseball players. Tarasenko uses it. So they started from the very bottom, and now they're freaking huge now. So it's awesome. But it would be the reading that would get me. I can't do the reading.
Awesome. The water is the hardest
I was going to say that the water doesn't get me a gallon.
I'm over here just like watered up. This is a sparkling water, like 2 water bottles. A gallon of water is just really hard, surprisingly. So
what is with those tiny bottles you got? I got.
They're just tiny right now. This is all I had on access. Okay, Joe, don't come for me.
We're actually trying to do a dry month before vacation. So it was tough doing Memorial Day weekend without any beer. And we've been to 2 Cardinals games over the past week, and I didn't have a single brewski. So I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, go Joe.
I guess I done went about 15 months with no alcohol. So
I know, right?
Mean, if we could go 9 over there. Yeah, if we can go 9 when we're pregnant, why can't I do a month? So, but yeah, it's just tough during the summertime, Baseball's on. We were just watching Blues hockey, all that stuff. It's just hard not to drink beer, especially in St. Louis.
100%.
Did Williams back you up? You go, Joe. That's funny. Oh, look, let me bring off our last but not least wonderful guest. Actually, not a guest, because she's actually going to be a regular for the ladies' night with the rest of us. Of course, she's been on the show a few times, so I can't wait to bring out a permanent person on our panel. Without further ado, Coach Stringer.
What's going on?
Hey.
Hi, Coach. Welcome to the team.
What's going on?
And it's funny that we've all been on here a few times, and I'm like, why did I get introduced to them? These people are known throughout St. Louis. Everybody on here, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows you all. You all are thebomb.com, just FYI. Nobody ever told you guys, you all at the okay? Remember that.
Because, Bunny, all of our new viewers that are coming on need to know, okay? So you tell them.
But all our new viewers, from Hot 365 to people archived on the Roku channel watching this, to Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else in between, all these ladies are at the bomb. I'm telling you all, if you don't know, you're going to get to know real fast. So, ladies, let's bring it on. So, I am not losing sleep over... Actually, I don't get sleep as it is real quickly. I have bags under my eyes because I'm still dealing with a infant who still gets up in the middle of the night, still has to get fed. I can't go back to sleep. So, of course, when I can't go back to sleep, I just get to scrolling on Google News, Instagram, all that good stuff. So I'm like, why is this information even out here on the internet? Like, who can care? That was just my thoughts here. So I was like, let me see if anybody else thinks when they hear a story like, why are y'all telling me this? Why are y'all bothering me? So anyway, one thing I did not care about as not losing sleep over is Tommy Pham getting suspended 3 games by MLB for slapping another player over fantasy football. Isn't that crazy? Did y'all hear about that story?
Yeah.
I have not heard about it yet. Put me
I think-
on the rundown.
Okay.
No, me.
Are you gonna do a bunny or what?
I mean, if y'all ever in fantasy leagues, I don't know. I don't do fantasy football, baseball, or football, hockey, none of that. But I don't think it should get this serious. But apparently, Tommy Pham, he was a former Cardinal. He's a member of the Cincinnati Reds. He was on a fantasy team with Peterson. Peterson plays for the.
It's a league with a bunch of major league players, but Jock Peterson's in there, and we just found out today that Mike Trout is the commissioner, which is freaking hilarious.
Is he?
It's
I
hilarious.
didn't know Trout was the commissioner.
Yeah, so
No, girl, that makes it even crazier.
So listen though, okay, like obviously there's a lot of money involved in this because we're talking guys that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars doing fantasy football on guys making millions and millions of dollars. It's ridiculous. But pretty much someone got hurt on Jock Peterson's team and he put them on the IR spot. And Tommy Pham didn't like how he was using it, I guess. He says he was using the IR spot incorrectly. And that Jock Peterson was messing with his money. And they were talking about it during batting practice on Friday, I guess. And it's funny. I wish I would have known you were doing this because we could have told Fred to share the video of Jock Peterson telling the story rundown. But he actually had the text
messages. Yes, y'all. He was receipts, literally.
Yeah,
on the air, y'all, reading the text messages. I'm like,
that's bold.
But pretty much in batting practice, though, before the game, Tommy Pham slapped Jock Peterson across the face, Will Smith style, and a grown-ass man slapped another grown-ass man. All right, here. We got a video if we want to watch this right now.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, I'm telling, but to me, it still wasn't newsworthy, but I guess it is for some people. Because I'm like,
it's idiotic at
y'all
times.
are men fight like some little girl. Oh, well, men fight like some little boys. Just stupid, really.
That's bold.
To read the receipts was bold. Oh, here it is.
It's true.
And suspension for the game. Just what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I know what he said, and either it's true. There was a lot of money involved in it. I did send a GIF in the group chat that was making fun of the Padres. In the group chat, there was also there was more than one Padre. There was maybe 4 or 5 that I'm kind of close with a couple of them, and it was supposed to be a friendly thing, just making fun of they were playing bad and just talking back and forth. And yeah, I mean, he did not like that and responded, Jock, I don't know you well enough to make any jokes like this. And yeah, so then I wrote back. I'm just trying to pull it up so it's exact.
It's okay.
Was meant to be all fun and games. No hard feelings. Sorry if you took it that way. And then about 2 weeks later, after like week 4 or 5, he ended up leaving the league. And there's been no communication since. But like I said, it is true. I did send a GIF making fun of the Padres. And if I hurt anyone's feelings, I apologize for that.
We're going to be completely honest. Everyone in baseball was making fun of the Padres with how bad they were playing down the stretch. You had Manny Machado yelling at Fernando Tatis Jr. in the dugout. You know, they couldn't score a run. Tatis Jr. threw out his shoulder for the 10th time of the year, and he's playing center field, can't catch a fly ball in center. Yeah, everyone was making fun of you guys. So get over it.
I'm just mad because how he read the receipts. I'm like, that is hella petty. You reading this on the air for all these people to put y'all dirty business out there.
Well, yeah, Tommy Pham's trying to make a bigger deal than it is, and so he's got all the. I don't know. I've never been a fan of Tommy Pham. That's all I'm saying. He's an idiot.
Oh, well, that was again irrelevant news that I thought was not worth my time even reading a little bit of it. But the video was funny because he.
It's funny.
He did this. Like, you're doing stuff that's cattiness to me. It's like, whatever. Anyway, so that's my news that's irrelevant. On to you, Coach Trigger. Anything that you figure is not worthy of a news headline at all?
I wouldn't say not worthy, but I wish they would say more for Brittany. Being gone for so long. They're not covering that enough for me. So I think that's something I want them to wake up from.
I got you. Yeah, I feel you on that. I know it was brought up last week. What's his name? Jalen Rose on game 6 of the conference finals when he was saying, it's not mentioned enough. But if it was an NBA player, definitely you'd have had more action, more traction, and it'd be in the headlines every day. But it's not. So you're correct. And maybe with this, especially going on longer now. We got the NBA, WNBA starting their seasons. It should be mentioned every day, or at least on every time they broadcast a WNBA game. We're missing out one of our stars. Bring it back. I don't know if it needs more traction. I mean, her wife did have a sit down with a reporter. Was it on 60 Minutes? I was watching that last week Sunday.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, She kind of helped bring a little light to it with that one-on-one interview, but still. Look what's been going on lately, though, in our national headline because of all this other stupidness. I don't even want to bring up, shootings and stuff, but it's just some of the other things are taking over headlines and it's not getting enough of that. So you're right, Coach Stringer. So let's hope we can get more traction on that again. Excuse me. And roll it on to you, Money McGee. Blah, blah, blah. Money McGee.
Dang, don't mess up my coin name, buddy. Come on,
right. I'm fighting through this cold and congestion, so forgive me.
You're fine. You're good. You're good. Okay, I would say one thing I'm not losing sleep over that's had a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, especially as we're rolling into summer. We got football teams getting ready, is the SEC only football playoff idea, where it would be a 12-team playoff, SEC schools fitting in to get 6 teams to go straight into the playoffs. This is something that's been talked about for a while, just to have that automatic bid and keep the competition concise within the SEC. I'm not for it. I think they're all talk, even though they're trying to make it seem like they're not. So that's something that I'm not losing sleep over.
I feel you. I've heard that a couple of times, that talk. I think that's just because people are in their feelings, but we're going to hit back on that when we talk about one of your favorite football coaches. I'm gonna put it on you. That's one of your favorites. It ain't mine. All right, Jobo. And anything in the headline that you are not losing sleep over, honey?
I just have one that happened yesterday that I don't know why this was all over Twitter yesterday, but the fact that Derek Jeter now has a Twitter feed, who cares? What? Everyone was talking about this yesterday, and then at the end of the night, he was like, I survived my first Twitter day. Get out of here. That's not news. And I don't know. It's annoying. Maybe I'm losing sleep over that because it annoys the hell out of me.
I feel you. Well, hey, that's the day and age we're in. Any little thing for some high-profile celebrities, they'll put a news story on.
I'm not mad that he's on Twitter now, though. I mean, that's a great place to, share some wisdom. And he's one of the greatest players. He probably finally has the time and energy to even entertain the nonsense that can happen on Twitter. So, hi, welcome to the Twitter world.
He's one of the most overrated players in Major League history, so he's going to get bashed constantly for that.
Sound like shots fired. Pew, pew,
dang, Joe is going to be the one who's bashing him. She's going to be one of the bots.
I can't be wasting my time going on Twitter getting mad about someone throwing an empty water bottle at someone and all the other stuff. So I can't be like that.
Speaking of water bottles, because you got one in your hand, Coach Stringer has one. My nigga, I'm the outcast here, but
Use some water, buddy.
I know I need to get some, especially over here coughing like I am. We know that our good old goalie from the St. Louis Blues, Bennington, was known for throwing a water bottle as well at his opponent. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but great segue to talk about the Blues because I have the Blues. The Blues aren't in the playoffs anymore. Joe Bo, what happened? I'm gonna get some water while you're doing that.
Okay. Well, I was on record saying not that long, like 2 weeks ago, or maybe even on last ladies' night, that I do think that they were going to go to the finals if they got past the Wild, and I do think that would stand if Bennington didn't get hurt. Obviously, the guys played different as soon as he got hurt, and they just went downhill from there. So it sucks. But yeah, I mean, the Avalanche, they're a really good team, obviously. They've been the Cup favorites before the season started. But I do think we had a really good chance of beating them, especially if you watched what happened last night in the Avalanche and Oilers game. There's like 17 goals scored in that game, which is absolutely stupid for a hockey playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, you got the Oilers and the Avs. You got Nathan McKinnon going against Connor McDavid. And then tonight you got the Rangers and the Lightning going at it, which the difference between that series and the Avs and Oilers series is going to be insane, I think, because they have competent goaltenders, and there's going to be barely any goals scored in that series.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for it?
I think the Blues gave us a surprise fight in that last series with the Avalanche. Obviously, they were the underdogs going in. The Avalanche have been playing great all season. They were predicted to win, but the Blues really did show us that when they lock in and they put those pieces together, how dangerous they can be. And I think everyone was watching that final game a little bit on their toes because even to the end really thought that they may be able to pull it out. I think for all Blues fans, it's kind of a relief because it's like rather get out now than like down the line and then lose the big game. At least this was kind of something that we were anticipating a little bit, so I think it takes the sting off.
Yeah, and I do think we probably, like you're saying though, is we put some pressure on the Avalanche. Everyone was projecting them to go in and sweep us like they did with the Predators, and I really do think we had a really good chance to win that series if Bennington didn't get hurt. At least make it to 7 games, and it's nothing against Husso because I was not for Bennington during the year.
Word. Yeah, I remember those conversations.
Which everyone in St. Louis could agree he was not good during the regular season, but something's switch flipped there in the last month or so, and he was dominant. Like you could probably argue that he was better than 2019 Jordan Bennington down the stretch there. So it sucks that it happened, but I guess it was meant to happen. So hopefully next year he plays like that all year. And we'll see what Army does with the team because I think he has a lot of big decisions.
I was just about to ask that. So if they keep Bennington, because he still had that $1 million contract. Remember, you and Fred were talking about this because nobody wanted to take on his contract because Bennington, y'all thought he should have been traded, but nobody want to take that fat contract. Now you say they want to keep him. So what do you do with the other goalie? And then we still haven't figured out Tarasenko. I guess he doesn't want the trade, but he still want that contract. I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Husso's gone. He's a free agent after this year, and we do have, I think his name's Lindgren, the guy with the stash. He did pretty good in a couple games this year up in the NHL, so he'll probably be your backup. But I think Colton Parayko might be gone next year. He's making a lot of money right now, and he hasn't been that big defenseman like he was early on. So I think he might be someone that you see get traded.
Got it. Okay. Well, as always, at the end of every season.
What do you think the Blues need to just come out hot again starting next season? What are the pieces that they're missing?
I think defense. Defense was something that we talked about all year, honestly. Last year you lost Bill Meister, you lost Gunnarsson, obviously you lost Petro a couple years ago, you lost Joel Edmondson and Vince Dunn. Those are all guys that were on that Cup team. You still have Pareko, obviously, and Bortuzzo. We traded for Nick Leddy at the deadline, but I think he's a free agent now too. So we have younger guys like Prunovich, who I think will be on the roster next year to stay. But I think you definitely need that, a good solidified defenseman to go up there with Falk. So that's probably the big thing. And if you can we had like 6 or 7 guys score 20 goals this year. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if they could just keep that up, obviously they'd be okay. And obviously everyone in St. Louis wants to see Matthew Tkachuk come over here. I think that would be a bit of a stretch, but if Army could make that happen, I wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing's impossible. Ask the Cardinals ain't getting out of now, though. Nobody thought we'd get that person, but we did. So the Blues
$50 million.
Do we like that Rosen signed a 2-year extension, 2-year 2-way extension with the Blues?
Yeah, because I think that was, a typical Army move. It's not going to hurt you or make you like a contender, like the favorite next year, but it's cheap enough, and he did show some success up here in the NHL.
Gotcha. Sorry, excuse me, ladies.
Right, well, looking forward, I guess, we got
to continue for the off season to see what they're going to do, right? Excuse me.
Bunny, you okay?
Yeah, here, I got an extra one.
I grabbed it. It's nice to drain it. I don't, like I said, this was a 24-hour bug. I missed the Cardinals game on Monday because of this. All-inclusive tickets. I missed it because I got so hurt. So, yet to be to a Cardinals game. I'll get there. And we'll try to touch on them later on, too. I want to segue into bringing on our special guest because she's going to help us talk about this wonderful topic of NIL. So let's introduce our guest. She is another basketball person, and she is hailing from Kirkwood, Missouri. And let me specify, not just a basketball person, former UCLA women's basketball team member. She also has done some stuff offside the campus life regarding diversity initiatives. Excuse me. And she is definitely passionate about helping creating safe spaces for people. And she also helped create a diversity initiative while she was at UCLA. And she is still currently working on different social justice and using athletics as a platform for that. So without further ado, let's bring on Ms. Lauryn Miller.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi, Lauryn. Hey. Welcome to the Platform Sports Talk Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, not a problem. Hey, this is I told them at the beginning of the show, for all our listeners out there, this is a bomb group of women, okay? They kick ass. So you're in great company. You're going to have a great time on this show. Relax. Hey, speak your mind and get ready for some good laugh in between. And don't let Coach Stringer fool you. She's been quiet right now, but if I told her bust a line of rapping right now, I'm telling you, she a bust a rapping and like, whoa.
Noted. Okay.
All right. So real quickly, Lauren, how was your week? What have you been up to? What is going on in your world, hon?
My week has been good. I currently still work at UCLA, and so I'm in development, but I oversee our alumni network currently. But day-to-day is kind of pretty chill, pretty consistent. I'm actually training to go overseas in the fall to play professionally. I tore my ACL at the end of last season, so I wasn't able to play this year, but decided I still have a little love for the game that I want to pursue, and so I've decided to kind of get back in the swing of things and train and lift and get ready for that.
Awesome, girl. Wow, you're busy.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Hi, Lauryn. Welcome to Ladies Night. My name's Michaela. So nice to have you on here. I just wanted to go back a little bit because I want to get into all of your UCLA experience and whatnot. But I really want to go back because you are a St. Louis native, growing up in Kirkwood. You went to Kirkwood High School, and you actually played for Monica Tritz, who is someone I know near and dear. I played against her. She's coached me a couple times. Yeah. So you have to tell me your experience. Talk about your time at Kirkwood, playing under Coach Monica Tritz and what she taught you to help progress you into that next level.
Yeah, honestly, not to date you or anything, Michaela, but I grew up watching you when you were at Pattonville and just my dad knowing your dad. So we go back beyond Tritz being the connector there. But honestly, being at Kirkwood was just such a cool experience. Before I even got to high school, there was the different conversations about where I would go. And so I ended up choosing Kirkwood just because of the traditions I was raised in and knowing my dad's own legacy there and kind of wanting to have that competitive edge to see who would come out the Miller legend in the end. But playing at Kirkwood, honestly, it was such a dream and it was so exciting. And when Tritz came my sophomore year, the program just totally turned around. I just think in the sense of how much she believed in us and what she was willing to do to push us and force us to be our best basketball players was just phenomenal. And so you got to see us each year get better as a team and as individuals. And so just to see how many of us end up going D1, and we were the first team to go to state and then the first team to win a state championship within 2 years. So I just think her impact is really hard to measure, and just the way she loved us as people, and she pushed us and cursed us out and everything in between, but we knew she loved us at the end of the day. And so I think that really pulled the best out of us. And so we were so competitive with her. And I remember the game before we went to state, she was in my face, like, you're not playing like a UCLA commit. And so, other players, like, you might not want to hear that, but I think for me, it was like, well, I am. Like, I'm going to UCLA. And so it made me play so much better the rest of the game. And so, but that was just her relationship with us, and that she knew she could get in your face and she could light you up and scream at you, whatever she had to say just to get you to go perform. But you know in the end that she loved you and that it was because she saw something in you, really.
Sound like somebody I've heard before. One of Coach Stringer's players I've heard say that about Coach Stringer. But I ain't mad at it. Whatever to do to motivate your children.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Real quickly, Lauryn, you just mentioned about your father and the legacy. Could you give us a little bit background? Who is your father and what legacy did he have in basketball?
Yes, my dad is Alvin Miller. So he Kirkwood legend in football, basketball, and track. He went on to be a wide receiver at Notre Dame after Kirkwood. But yeah, I apparently look a lot like him. So it was really fun just as I got older to kind of continue to try to edge him out in the basketball space.
Cool beans. All right. Well, and since you are a UCLA person, and we have, of course, Money McGee, basketball person, Coach Stringer, basketball. JoBo's not all basketball, but she's softball, and you guys all have great knowledge on college recruiting process. So let's dive in right into talking about the NIL. And I want to mention again, we talked about the sort of show a couple weeks ago with Coach Saban, and he was referring to two colleges, Texas A&M and Jackson State, regarding their recruiting players based off NIL. Fast forward, he gave an interview, I think in front of some boosters or some people in Alabama. He retracted and apologized. He didn't want to put those schools out there like that. But he said he does not want to take away from what his point is regarding NIL. He doesn't think it should be fair. Again, yesterday, he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, but yet it keeps being brought up, and he's still talking about NIL and it being fair. My issue, I've said this, I still mean this, it doesn't seem like it was an issue when people get paid under the table, boosters giving money, whether it was in the rules or not. It was all known. It just wasn't spoken out publicly. But now that it is quote unquote legal, or is it in the rules, now it's an issue. And we're talking about how Alabama has been a dominant force for how many years? They in the top bowl games year after year since Saban's been at Alabama. And you're still talking about it's not fair. How many people can ask Saban, is it fair on his way, how he recruits and how he's always getting these number one picks and stuff? And for the one time he may not got a number one draft class, he has an issue, and he will not let this go about NIL. So we'll start with our guest, Lauryn. What are your thoughts on how the NIL process is going in college? And it doesn't have to specify basketball or football, any other sports in college. What's your thoughts on NIL?
Yeah, I think NIL has been a really interesting thing to see actually unfold. I feel like the years and years and years of them, people just begging for athletes to be able to be paid for their services to campuses, to have that much pushback from the NCAA, and then for it to be rolled out with basically no regulations, I found kind of strange and really uncharacteristic for them. And so I think for now, that's mostly what we're seeing, kind of the chaos of it, because it is so unregulated right now. So you're seeing schools who are having donors shovel out millions to be able to pay for these athletes to come to their schools under whatever guise it might be. But then you have other schools who you might not have that same backing or that same financial foundation to get it done. But I think ultimately it's so long overdue that I think the chaos of it is eventually going to have to die down. Just these millions and millions from the donors aren't going to be sustainable. But personally, I wish it was there when I was in school. I think there's just so much that you do as a student athlete that serves the school, but also serves kind of is a disservice to yourself, where you can't do internships, you can't go get jobs. There's certain things just on a resume I couldn't build and supply for myself because I was training. I was working out year round. And though I have a free degree, which was phenomenal, and I don't take that lightly in any way, shape, or form or fashion, but the reality is I couldn't do other things. And so I think to have these kids be able to really build a brand and build a name for themselves and make money off of it can't be taken lightly. And I think knowing that some of these programs, they wouldn't be where they are and who they are financially or just reputation wise if it wasn't for the backs and the blood, sweat, and tears that these athletes put into it. So I think it's long overdue. I understand the whole disproportionate piece of it, but I think the reality is, like you said, it's been happening for decades, that especially on the men's side, they've been getting paid, and you've been getting those number one recruits through money and through different offers anyway. And so eventually things will shake out and the playing field will level, I think. But I think for now, I'm just glad to see athletes getting paid for, just being themselves and making posts or whatever it is.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Got it. Okay, good. I like your thoughts on how you're going with that. So you think it should eventually, it will be reined in. So let me ask you this, for you, Coach Stringer, since you deal with high school athletes and I know you're involved in the recruiting process, what would you like to see done differently regarding when these athletes or your students are getting recruited, and mentioning of NIL? Like, do you see a specific rule or rules that need to be changed or added to this NIL process?
I don't see a lot of these deals with my student athletes. I had probably one or two that went D1 that had a couple black slashes towards, the coaches. I had a friend actually coach at D1 that had a kind of untasteful, I guess, request about it. His thing was that some of these kids are making more money than him, so it's a big respect thing. And I can understand that if a kid's making $100,000 and it's not half of your salary, I think that's a big respect thing towards how you might feel, because these young men nowadays, they are very big on egos. They will walk into the gym and act like they run you. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've seen. But besides that, like Lauryn said, I think that athletes getting paid for what they do for schools, being student athletes is really needed.
Okay. Cool. So let me ask you this, Money McGee. What do you think, if you had NIL option back when you were playing ball, what would you like to get out of it? What is your, I guess, the biggest take away from having an NIL deal? Not just the money, but do you think it should be just, hey, I got this contract for however long I want, or you think you need to have your coaches to sign off on it, or you think like, hey, it should just be all what I want to do, it's my name, my money?
I will say this. I agree with Lauryn, because as a student athlete playing at the collegiate level, knowing the amount of time, energy, and effort, blood, sweat, and tears that you put into building these programs and really working your butt off, signing your life away when you go and play, especially at the Division I level. You love to see these athletes getting rewarded and being able to make money off their name, image, and likeness, because you go into any college community, they're going to have fans who adore these players and want to support them individually. And for so long, it's been illegal, even though there's been things going on under the table. So I think to take the legality out of it in terms of punishing players and coaches and programs for allowing players to make a profit off of their individuality, their likeness, their name, their skill sets. I'm all for that. I think when we take a look into the Nick Saban statements, it's twofold, because he starts calling out other schools, which he's already come out and said that he regrets, mentioning any individual institution, which I don't even think he was really trying to put his anger towards any individual institution, especially Texas A&M. But when you start dealing with money like this, to where it's a free flow, it's a free for all, and you can use money to kind of start getting players into your program, it does mess with and I know y'all hate when I use this word, but the integrity of the recruiting process. And I think that's what he was somewhat trying to call out, more so than, Texas A&M buying its 22 recruiting class, which was ranked the top recruiting class in history. So this is something, a big deal. Texas A&M football, obviously historic. They are a program that has had a lot of success. They don't really need to sell themselves. What they've done sells it for them. But that brings up one layer of it is, what is this doing to the recruiting process, especially at those power conference schools? And then you get into what he says about how the NIL is now hurting players, and this is what Nick Saban said. I'm going to quote it so I don't mess it up. He said, "We need some kind of transparency in the name, image, and likeness deals to verify that players are doing what they need to do to have the opportunity to make money in name, image, and likeness." Saban said, going on to say, "And believe me, I'm all for players making as much as they can make, okay? But I also think that we've got to have some uniform, transparent way to do that. Our players did extremely well last year in name, image, and likeness because they got agents, they had representation, they had people who wanted them to actually endorse something for them, and they did very, very well. That's public record, and you can see how well they did." I think Saban is also bringing in that second fold of players are coming in to these large institutions, small institutions, looking to get paid, and they sometimes get signed into deals where they're not protected, and they're signing contracts that they don't really understand the extent of them because they don't have the background knowledge of, contract verbiage and language and what these deals really mean when they're signing. And a lot of times they're signing away their rights to go get other agents or representation once they are done with their collegiate career. So I think Nick Saban is also taking a step back and showing that he cares from a coaching standpoint, that he doesn't want his players to be getting screwed over, although he is for them getting paid. And he's clearly been an advocate for decades about players being able to get paid for their name, image, and likeness. He's letting it be known that a lot of these businesses, a lot of these companies are coming in and scamming these players, and these players are not fully aware of what's going on because they don't have the business knowledge behind it, coming in as 17, 18, and 19-year-olds into this world. So again, I will support athletes getting paid off their name, image, and likeness. I do wish that was something they had whenever I was playing. I just will say that to the day I die. I would probably be off living large if I could right now, but they do need some protection for sure, because these are young minds who are just excited to be playing basketball. They're excited to be handed and presented all these opportunities, but they need people in their corner who are really explaining to them these deals and what's going on and how it's going to impact them now and in their future.
Okay, so Ms. Williams brought up a good question. She wanted to know, why do you think the NCAA didn't set out regulations for NIL when it was introduced?
Because I think the NCAA wanted this to fail, to be quite honest.
You think they're gonna bring this out, no strings attached, and then let it blow up in everybody's face?
I think that they were waiting for this to blow up because it took them so long to even get it passed, which is ridiculous because, like we've been saying, this has been happening under the table. They've known about it. It just doesn't come out until it's exposed. But I think they wanted it to blow up in the faces of coaches and players, to make a mess that they weren't going to stand by and help clean up. But I think now that there's a lot of pressure from major coaches like Nick Saban and other players who are starting to get these agents and this representation and these lawyers who are stepping in and seeing, how this game can get played. The NCAA, although I appreciate them, I think all athletes do, for the opportunities they've brought into our lives, being able to play at the collegiate level. The NCAA is one of the biggest mobs in the nation.
Don't say
And
that.
they
No,
don't-
don't say that. Don't say it, because I get roasted, because Fred knows that, it gets me every time, because I said NCAA is a cartel. I mean, they are beyond corrupt. And you mentioned integrity earlier. I'm like, what are you talking about? That is so not hand in hand. NCAA integrity is not peanut butter and jelly. They do not go together. FYI.
Yeah.
No, that the cartel is going to start crumbling down, as I've said, and it slowly but surely is. Not with the NIL though. I wasn't thinking they're trying to let this explode on purpose, but you all are thinking that. I mean, let's see. I'm thinking what's going to happen is 2022. All the athletes from pandemic 2020 on, and let's say within the next 5 years, we'll see the after effects, because some of these players did get some shady or crappy deals and sign their names away, literally not realizing they can't get used again, or they can't make money with another company. We'll see it come out. Like I said, it's going to take a few more years, but I still don't see the PR on behind it of letting this blow up, and then they're not going to be there to save everybody that got screwed. I think that's crazy, but yeah, I think that's what their plan is, just to tell everybody. See, I told y'all I should let them stay on amateur status. That's not the way going about it either, though. I mean, at this point, you could just get minor league system. You got the NBA G League, you got the Canadian Football League, you got other quote unquote not the professional, but they're still professional leagues that you can get paid for. If that's the case, I don't think you should use the players in the NCAA pool of athletes to make it blow up, though. That's not fair to those students.
You're muted, money.
I was about to say, but what really have they done that has been in the best interest of athletes? To be quite honest, if we're looking at it, athletes and coaches have been asking for decades for an NIL like contract or concept to be pushed. And again, I am thankful to the NCAA, but when you really get into the inside of it and see how they've been extorting these programs to make profit and then not really trickle that back down into these systems or into these schools that may need it most. I mean, the money's not distributed fairly, if we're being honest. Players have been complaining about the standards of what they've been seeing. And again, we talked about whenever it was exposed with the women's NCAA tournament compared to the men's tournament. That's been a thing. No one who I grew up with playing, we always knew the men had it way better than we did when it comes to conference tournaments and in the NCAA tournament. But I think for it to be exposed on social media like that was really a shell shocker. But that just goes to show that's been the NCAA's MO all the time. They're going to pump the money into what's making the most money, and the rest of you are kind of out there just to survival of the fittest, really.
That's facts.
Yeah, I think Michaela, even just talking about how the NCAA is going to be looking out for themselves in the end, I think is hitting a nail on the head. And I think that was part of why they kind of just let this loose, because it also takes them out of the whole conversation. Should things go awry, or should certain schools start again trying to find ways to do backdoors, and it takes them out of the conversation since there's no regulations from their front. But I think even just the UCLA this year went to the WNIT, and so obviously before we were always in the NCAA tournament, so we didn't know as much about the WNIT tournament, which is a secondary tournament should you not make the NCAA one. And we discovered that the NCAA actually does own the men's side of the NIT, and that they funded, and that the men's side, there's just different rules and there's different travel put in place. Whereas we discovered through what UCLA had to experience this year was the travel was horrible. We were in charge of booking our own flights, but when our double had to sit down and do it, you had to wait for the game to be over. But we discovered because NCAA does not own it. So the WNIT is owned by a for-profit company. So now you're seeing all this difference. And so when we're trying to figure out, well, what's the difference? Why don't they own both? It comes down to, again, the men's tournament makes more money than the women's does. So that's less work for NCAA to have to deal with. So yeah, I completely would agree with Michaela that they never really care about the athlete. And that's the whole term student athlete itself was coined just so when you circle back that you can't pay us, that we can't be seen as employees of universities because we're student athletes, whereas you don't have that label on any musicians, photographers, any type of artist. They don't have student put in front of whatever their extra activity or their hobby or their passion is, but when it comes down to athletes, those who are going to be bringing all this money in for universities, all you do is slap a label on us, and then all of a sudden we're just student athletes. So we're just benefiting from the scholarship, but nothing else could be given to us. And so I think that's where the whole NIL thing is starting to gonna kind of flower into something different, just because NCAA is now trying to figure out a way how can they get a buck off of it. So I think for now, no regulations keep them out of having to figure that end out.
And I will also mention this, Bunny, and just piggyback off what Lauryn said, is we have to understand that all of these student athletes are coming from different backgrounds as well. So we're still seeing disparity within sport, even though they are now athletes are allowed to get paid, because there's going to be some families and some players who have a little bit more leverage or have the money to go out and get a lawyer or an agent, you know, who can help them through this process. And then there's other athletes who don't have that leverage, or they don't have that family background and dynamic, so where they can have those resources. And again, back to what Nick Saban said, I think that he doesn't want to see these players getting screwed over in the long run. So I think even if the NCAA isn't stepping up, it's nice to see that coaches are stepping up. Hopefully universities are stepping up and taking these student athletes to the side and maybe putting them through some free training courses, business classes, or making it a requirement where they're sitting in on, you know, on classes that teach you about contracting and what to look for and the type of verbiage that needs to be used, just so that they have some background knowledge going into it, so that they know exactly what they're signing, how they're going to make their money, and again, that it's not going to harm them in the long run.
Well, interesting. So 2 points here. Lauryn, you mind blown with this WNIT, or women's NIT, I should say, is not even owned by the NCAA, but the men's side. Never knew that. So thank you for dropping that jewel. And with that disparity you're talking about, we saw how the men and women's conference tournaments are treated. Now you see what women's soccer finally got their legal battle. They got equal pay as men's going forward. And the women's soccer, of course, everybody knows they were winning, bringing the cup home. Men's weren't even making it out of sometimes just the preliminaries. So shout out to the soccer team, women's soccer team, for doing that. Now we're coming with NCAA men and women treatment. And we were just talking about this basketball, how we see that's a big disparity. Thank God that player put that on social media, everybody talking. Let's hopefully going forward, the NCAA does make it equal. But that was just basketball. So what about when we have men and women? Gymnastics, you got volleyball, you got swimming. What about these other sports that men and women, are they all going to be equal as well? It's like, who is the police of the NCAA? I mean, they need to have somebody to be sitting there and exposing, or hey, making sure this is done right, men and women. And even when we're talking about the NIL stuff, I'm like, it's still hypocritical, because the NIL with these players being able to earn money outside from different companies and agents or whomever, it's still not showing that the universities are still making millions of dollars off these players. The university's not kicking back the money besides a scholarship. But all those $1 million year rights, that's not also going back to them. I'm sorry, what'd you say? Oh, I thought someone said something. Okay, is that my computer? Uh-oh. Can y'all hear me now? I can't hear you all. Lord have mercy. It could be my internet. So anyway, I just think it's hypocrisy with the NCAA, because it's still not, it's addressing the problem, but it's still not addressing it, because all these millions of dollars that these universities can earn, media rights, all this, the players aren't getting it. And the other issue is still what about all the what do you call that? The $1 million stadiums, and you still have that have to get their salaries cut, or you have to eliminate positions. If these students are here for education, what's going on with the academics? I mean, that's not the NCAA's job per se, but it still looks to me, it's like you all are full of it. You got $50 million stadiums, and you got budget cuts. What? I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, we also have to take into account that, and I feel like this is also a topic of discussion that is hard to here for a lot of people, especially athletes. But at the end of the day, we do have to recognize the reality of it. A school program like Alabama football is drawing in more people, probably more sales than, let's say, like a Missouri S&T football team, you know, whose stadium holds maybe 2,000 people compared to 200,000 people down in Alabama, you know? So there's going to be a difference in money that's just also being made. But I think the money that the NCAA is profiting off of it all, that is the money that should be distributed equally. But what each school does individually, to each their own, those are things that are a little bit out of the smaller schools, these mid-major schools control. But as long as you're budgeting well, and we have to understand the difference between, when we talk about men's and women's sports, between equality and equity, because at the end of the day, if there is a men's team, if your men's teams, your men's sports are making more money, it's just obviously logical that they are going to be able to have a little bit more playroom with the things that they can do and what they can get. Now, whether the men's and women's team work together on getting those types of resources for the programs, whether that's a nutritionist, which most schools have now anyway, just different types of equipment that can be shared and utilized, the apparel, what you get from your school, that's a different type. But we have to understand, like, there's equality where we want everything to be the same for everybody, and then equity where you take into account what each organization is bringing to the table and what they are then bringing back into the school, and then that's what they're able to use. So I shout out to the U.S. women's soccer team. They've made great strides. We've seen the WNBA pushing to get their salaries raised according to, what they're bringing in, and them being able to make money off their own name, image, and likeness, which hasn't been a thing in the WNBA, which is a professional arena, So the fight continues on, but we do also have to be realistic with money and how it's going to be dispersed in a sense as well.
Okay. Look, we know this is to be continued. This is not over, far from over. So let me ask you this, Lauryn. Since you are still at UCLA and you are on not policy making, but you like to help with diversity initiatives at school. So let's just say Coach Stringer has one of her players that's getting recruited by UCLA. She goes on that trip with them and everything. They step on campus. What is the first thing that you would like to do with her and her player to show them UCLA and what you're all about?
The first thing, you have to show campus. I think just to show the history of how beautiful it is, but then just to kind of take people through what's happened on campus. And knowing Dr. King spoke on Jan's steps, which is like the famous steps right in front of our quad. And so I think from there, we always like to go back and show in our Prezi slide, but I think the coolest thing to highlight in our program is the actual diversity initiative that I helped find. And so it's called More Than a Dream. And so DREAM stands for Diversify, Reveal, Educate, Advocate, and Motivate. And so it started actually after George Floyd's killing. And so from there, me and my assistant coach really talked about how I didn't want things just to be a hashtag and that we stopped talking about it once, the hype and everything of it died down, that no one talked about it anymore. And so from there, we really created this whole kind of platform where we were doing educational conversations, and I was putting on presentations at least twice a month to our team and to our staff, just talking about whether it was code switching, whether it was different things culturally that Black people had been pivotal in, whether it was the Tulsa Massacre, the Divine Nine, just different things of Black excellence and just Black history that isn't taught, but it's just so central to who we are. And then from there, also just we're working on an outreach piece. So we're going to put together this back to school drive and partner with this church and provide backpacks and school supplies. And some of my current teammates who are still there they're putting it together, and I'm helping them on the kind of outskirts of it. But I think just showing pieces like that shows why at UCLA especially, you really have everything to be equipped to be more than an athlete. And I think schools talk about that and that they'll preach about it in the family atmosphere. But I think at UCLA, especially in our women's basketball program, you have this grand opportunity that whatever you want to pursue, whenever you're really passionate about off the court, that they're going to really find ways to feed into that and to really speak life over that. And so for the diversity, for me, it was also my photography that they would feature on the page. I have a teammate who's really into fashion. One teammate wanted to be a commentator, so she got to shadow one of the Pac-12 commentators. And so whatever it really is that you really believe in and that you want for yourself, that's beyond basketball, that happens when the ball goes flat, as we say, that they're going to really push you into that. And they're going to continue to nurture that just as much as they do on the court or academically or just as a woman in general.
Man, Lauryn, you done sold me. UCLA. I'm like, oh, sign me up. We're the registration office. Oh, wow. Good to know. And let me segue real quickly to our regular panelist, Money McGee. She has to go and do other things, but I would like to thank her as always for coming on the show with us. And of course, stay tuned because this is Miss Missouri right now, but hopefully Miss USA. So stay tuned.
Yes. So again, those details have not been dropped, everyone, but I promise you, as soon as I know the date, the time, and the place, I will be on here and letting everybody know. But Lauryn, I just wanted to direct it to you real quick and just say how proud I am of you. Just for everything that you've done here in the St. Louis area, continuing on your career as a basketball player and now business professional in California at UCLA. Just listening to you talk is putting a smile on my face because you just seem so well-rounded, so educated, and so very passionate about what you're doing. And thank you for continuing to create space for girls like me and you in our area and beyond. And I am rooting for you and wishing you all the best. And if you ever need anything, you can reach out to me.
Thank you, Michaela. It was good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Tell the family I said hi. All right, you guys. Thank you for having me. I will see you next month, and I'll be here the whole time. I'm sorry, I have some family things I gotta go take care of.
All good. We understand. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month, hon. Okay. And if Money McGee wants to catch the rest of the show, you and her and anybody else can always catch our archive show on the Roku channel. And for everyone else that is streaming now on Facebook, leave all the comments under the the platform Sports Talk Show. And you're also on YouTube. And please subscribe. Click on that bell. All right. And Hot 365. We're on the radio online, guys. So you have no excuse. You can find us Facebook, YouTube, Hot 365, the Roku channel. First Wednesday of the month is what? Ladies' night. And I'm feeling. Hey. And the last Wednesday of the month, we have the fellas with the man cave. So our special guest here is Ms. Lauryn Miller. And she has just dropped some dope information regarding the UCLA vision, the UCLA culture, and how she's helping it. And so I'm going to spin it off a little bit. So our wonderful Blues and Cardinals guru here, Jobo, she has a daughter named Mia that's a little over a year. And we're going to go to the future from 18 years from now. And Mia's getting recruited by UCLA. Now, Jobo was a softball player by trade. And you're a basketball player, but however, it's still some things, no matter what kind of athlete you are, that you still want to see on the campus, or at least have a reason to get a student to come to your school. So, Jobo, if you're on UCLA's campus with Mia, that she's getting recruited for softball, what would you want to know about the UCLA campus or LA or anything? And what do you think Miss Miller can, bring to you to like, yeah, you should come here even if you're not playing basketball because you got this or that. Like, what would you want to know for your daughter? Like, this is the future we're talking about. What would you expect to see or know about UCLA?
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to think about this, Bunny.
Baby. It's here, honey. It is here.
You wanted me to think about Mia going off to college, let alone go to California. Come on now. That is way too far. I don't know. I feel like a big thing with that I'm learning, again, I'm a newish mom, but like you always just want to know that they're going to be safe, and especially with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world now, with recent stuff, but just 18 years in the future, you hope things change. But, I guess the main thing would be how safe is the campus really and the surroundings of the campus.
Yeah, well, first, I adore our softball team. We always say if we didn't play basketball here, we'd all want to be softball players or gymnasts because of the storied success of those programs and just how those coaches get it right with those girls. And so UCLA and Westwood itself is super duper safe. And I know a lot of people, they say I live in LA, but when I came out here, I was in Westwood. And so Westwood's literally snuggled between Beverly Hills and Bel Air, and so it's sort of a college town, but not really. But it's not the LA that you picture. Like, we're not really that close to downtown, and so it's super safe. My mom was definitely like that, and I was the furthest. I definitely went the furthest away from home of my siblings, and so that was definitely big for my parents. Was just how safe was campus. How my coach and most of the coaches live really close, just in case an emergency happens, and that's how most of the head coaches are. So that if you need to get to campus and get to your kids, you can. And so even the apartments are really close to campus. There's plenty of security, police department right there by campus. And really, there's never been any issue since I've been out here. The worst thing is the fires, but you trade off fires for the tornadoes back home. So you kind of adjust to them at some point in time. But honestly, it's super safe. There's really been no issues. And so it's been nice to kind of be in my own little like bougie bubble that Westwood is.
Bougie bubble.
That's funny.
I like that bougie bubble. Okay. Take that run with it. Okay, so parent of a soon to be recruited athlete, Jobo, you okay now? Your nerves will be a little bit more calmer. She tells you it's safer, even though it's farther away. But and the basketball players like the softball team, so that's a partnership there that they probably have. So that works for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. I do follow the UCL team on Twitter. I just like following all the different college softball teams. But yeah, they do seem like a good organization.
Yeah, good people.
Again, she said she's not ready for it. No parent never ready to see their child go away. But if you talk about it now, and then we're gonna rewind this episode 18 years from now, and you'll be like, you know what? I got a head start on it. Now I'm good. See, we're gonna calm your nerves early.
I'm my mom's third baby, and she still cried when they moved me in. So just be prepared.
Yeah, Coach Stringer, you're close to your mom too, but she liked that when you went away to school for the first time, especially with basketball.
My mom tried to act hard when I first went to school. After I graduated, she told me she cried every time I left the house. So I think if I would have went overseas, she probably would have lost it. But me being not too far away, she was able to come when she wanted to and see me. So she came to every game. So she wasn't too far any time.
Excuse me. All right.
But I do have to say something to Lauryn. Lauryn, nice to meet you. I'm Coach Stringer. I do a lot of recruiting in the area with a lot of the underdogs and samples. I try to get them in college with athletic scholarships. And when I go to these visits, I fly out to Dallas. I went to Boston. I went to a lot of different universities and schools with my student athletes. And I found it, quite funny that a lot of the coaches knew nothing about the campus. I would ask questions about the ratio of the classrooms, the graduation rate, all those key questions that you would want to know as far as off the court, and they knew nothing about it. They couldn't show me where the major hallways was, where maybe science was, or chemistry. They didn't know a lot of these things. They didn't know about the organizations on campus. And I like to really pick the brains because I don't know if you've seen when he tagged me on Twitter. It's just my logo. So most coaches don't know I'm a female. When I ask questions about, what can you promise with these athletes? Can you make sure they're successful off the court? They don't have those answers. And then, they try to put their players they have there, set them up to try to, explain how the school is. And they don't have those answers either. So that's a big turnoff to me. So when you was going through about what you know about the campus, the key things is really eye-opening because a lot of these schools don't have those tools to give these student athletes going into the school. So you saying that really was an eye-opener.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was big on when I came out of high school. I didn't really want to play professional. To be honest with you, my goal was to go to law school, and I really wanted to serve like the less fortunate and like especially in the juvenile courts. And so things changed, obviously. But throughout that, with my recruiting process, I knew that I needed a school that, as a woman, as much as you would as a basketball player, because for me, I knew my career was going to start sooner than should my teammates go to the WNBA. And so that was big for me. Like whenever you recruited me, you had to really show me tangible steps, like how are you going to make me a better woman, a better friend, a better future mother, future wife. And so that was huge in UCLA. When on my official visit, my unofficials, my home visit, they constantly were showing me they have 100% graduation rate. They were explaining to me how as you get deeper into your major that your classes become priority instead of practice time. For some schools, you can't take certain majors or certain courses because practice is at this time and they're not going to be flexible with that. Like your academics aren't actually the priority. And so I think things like that, we were doing community service, we do a constant shoe drive, and there was just this constant theme of giving of yourself and serving others that a lot of places didn't have either. And so I thought that was gonna be, I knew coming out here was gonna be hard and I was gonna be stretched, and I'm the baby of the family, like I said, so I was gonna be homesick. And so my freshman year was really hard, and I was miserable most of the year. I wasn't playing as much as I was used to. I was a star at Kirkwood, and then I came out here and I rode the bench my freshman year. And then on top of that, my parents can't get to every game. They made a lot, but they couldn't be at every game. And so even when I look back now, like, why did I stay? It was totally because the investment from the staff, from my teammates, and just knowing that they were invested in me as a person, and that even though I wasn't contributing on the court, that they were still checking in on how I was. They were still trusting that I had a plan to graduate in 3 years and do my master's with my 4th year. And just, I think having staff that saw the vision I had for myself, but saw more for me also, made a world of difference. And so I think that's huge that you can see that when it comes to other schools that you're taking these students to, because I think I even said in my process, everyone's going to have the shiny equipment, everyone's going to have the skill development, but what can you do to develop us as people? Even on the men's side, I think it's just paramount that you can make sure that people leave your program better than they showed up. Because I think if we come at 18 years old and I leave at 21, 22, and I can't say I've changed or I've grown, then I feel like that was 4 years, 3 years, whatever, wasted. And so UCLA they separated themselves in that way, and that everything that they showed me was bigger than basketball. I mean, the program's motto is I am woman. And so I think just believing in that, but then also building on it and really breathing life into that was huge. And that's why I'm just so grateful for my time here, and just who I am now, who I'm talking to you from, just who I am at my core. So much of it was just shaped and impacted by here. And that's got nothing to do with basketball. My jump shot got better, sure, and my power layup got stronger. That was all great. But for me to be able to be like proud of who I was when I left, like that was just the coolest moment for me when I graduated last year.
That's dope. That's dope.
Hey, when I tell you, Miss Miller, look, I don't say Lauren, Miss Miller, because you were mature, and like I said, you sold me, and then you just go into more details. Like, oh my gosh, Miss Miller has a great ambassador. You were doing a great job at your job.
Right.
Like, damn, she said like she could be like 30 because she is so thorough. I mean, better woman, better player, better just
It was
everything.
smooth. It was real smooth.
Yeah, like I can tell you were really genuine about it. Like you said, Coach Stricker, you going on these tours and stuff and these recruit visits, and you know you don't get this from some of the people, but I'm here like, dang, UCLA, like I need to go.
You gonna apply, buddy?
Right. Look, even Eve Jobo's fears of sending her baby way out to LA. She's just like, okay, I'm telling you, man, you are really, really good. So shout out to you for that. Shout out to your parents for raising a beautiful young lady that you are. Like, that is so dope. See, I'm sorry. I had a little interruption here. So now she's part of our panel, guys, just for a few minutes. Say hi. Here you go. But anyway, let me ask you this, Ms. Miller, before I let you give on what you're doing right now in detail. When you first started your love of sports, what was your sport?
My OG sport was track.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It is definitely what I will continue the tradition. Is definitely in our family. Like, that's where you build your foundation, and so it makes a world of difference. My parents definitely breed athletes, but it definitely starts with just the foundation. I think track is huge. I think all kids should do track just from the way it teaches you certain disciplines, but even just kind of like the solid foundation of being able to run and jump and stuff like that. I think it's huge. And I was always really athletic as a kid, and I definitely think having such a firm foundation in track was definitely why.
What'd you run? I
was a sprinter. I was the 100, the 200, 4x2, 4x1. I did the occasional 400, but you're a different beast if you can eat up the 400 consistently. So we got me out of that as I got older, but I dabbled in it.
I feel it.
Okay, dope. Okay, so track. So who was one of your first influential people, if not just track, with any sport that you played as a young kid?
Top to bottom, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Even today, like I've always grown up idolizing her. Just, I mean, what she did in track, and then to go on to be a dual sport athlete at UCLA, I just think is huge. I mean, she's Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And then as I got older to realize she and my dad were friends, I was always like, all right, you just said Jackie, but you're not telling me who Jackie is. And so she's just, she's Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And so even though I've kind of had different chances to interact with her as I've gotten older. And so I think to grow from just idolizing her as an athlete to now just seeing what she's doing with her foundation in East St. Louis, she's a rock star person. And every time I've gotten to really sit down and talk to her, it never feels like I'm talking to this world famous Olympian. It just feels like I'm talking to someone who just cares and really wants to speak positivity and life into the next generation of us. But basketball wise is Candace Parker, but top to bottom, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, I idolized forever.
That's dope.
Yeah, I know that's dope. Okay.
You don't hear that name often.
Yeah, you don't. And I think it should be mentioned more. Just like you just said, just being a dual athlete, and of course, I like that plug of your alma mater, UCLA. That's dope too. But yeah, so with that, track is your first sport, and then you say you think all athletes should do that. And JJK being a track star as she is, and of course she was basketball too. So, what is your what kind of legacy are you trying to have regarding basketball or your diversity initiatives or anything? So like I said, you're Miss Miller now, honey. You're not a little teenager or young lady, like you're Miss Miller because you do the damn thing. So what kind of legacy are you trying to leave for the next generation, for little ones like Mia over there, Jobo's daughter, or my little one, Sanaa right here?
Yeah, I think for me, I just always wanted to feel like I left spaces different. And whether it's just not even on like the court and not even from just hanging banners, like I always wanted to feel like I changed the culture of a place. Even when I left Kirkwood, we won the state championship. They turned around and went back to back. I was Gatorade Player of the Year my senior year, but I thought it was cool just because even for that stint of time and a couple of years past that, like the culture of the place changed. Kirkwood women's basketball became like a legit program, and that was somebody that you didn't want to play us. And I thought that was just cool just to have that kind of impact on the space. And when I got to UCLA, that impact, it looked a little bit different, but I just thought it was powerful to hear as I got older and as I graduated, especially just the amount of girls that always feel like I made them feel welcomed and I made them feel loved and appreciated, regardless of them being a different race from me, we having different religious backgrounds, just whatever that looks like. I thought that was something that I really clung to, and that's what mattered most to me. I never wanted people to feel left out, and I was always hosting movie nights in my apartment, or I was having random coloring book nights, and we were hosting stuff at our coach's house, just different things to keep everybody involved and close-knit. And so I never want people to feel like your experience was lesser than from a relational standpoint or even from just the environment you were in. And so I can't always help your experience with the sport itself, and I think that's what we're kind of seeing now with athletes, is just the struggle with mental health and just the pressures to be perfect, the pressure to outperform yourself day to day. And so I always wanted to be a safe space for people in that. And so providing whatever outlet that looked like. And so I was always big for my teammates that even if it was just a random drive to the beach, if it was just you coming over and we don't say anything, like I just never wanted them to feel like they didn't have that. They didn't have that family piece. And so I ended up being called the mother hen by the time I graduated, but I did always want to take everybody under my wing. And I hope everybody, whenever they leave my presence, that like you feel better about the day, that you felt like that day was easier, it was lighter because we spent time together, or that I was around and did something for you.
Yeah. I can
So
see
you have some good parents. That's it all starts down from there. We got Mother Teresa over here.
We got Mother Lauryn over here. Okay,
I'm hoping Mia could be like that too, though. Like I said, it all starts from the bottom. So your parents obviously raised you right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're gonna have some big shoes to fill, Lauryn. So whatever your next step is, if you decide to stay at UCLA, keep working. If you want to follow in Coach Stringer's shoes, become a coach or an ambassador for the United States, or the WNBA, or like I said, just a coach in the NBA, whichever. Like you're destined for greatness. I'm telling you. So shout out to you. And speaking of, would you like to become a coach? Maybe have you thought about getting into coaching? If you're going to stop playing and do that?
I have heard it tossed around a bit. I'm super passionate about just like the nonprofit space, and we're trying to figure out a way to make even more than a dream bigger potentially. But as of now, I just know I really want to do things that provide like Black students and just Black kids, tutoring, access to different sports things, and just kind of the resources that certain white youth are just allotted just based on your own background, and kind of help bridge the gap in that sense. So if coaching gets wrapped into that, then so be it, but I'm not really leaning towards it now.
Oh man, you missing out.
I don't know. I've seen the time demand of some of my assistants, and I love them, but for them to be stretched between mentoring and recruiting and everything in between, I don't know.
Yeah, it's stressful. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's very stressful.
Is it, Coach? Like, let me ask you this, Coach. Is it stressful like 24/7, or is it like the certain season, like in the summer when there's no school going on, that's when you recruit the hardest, or is it
No.
parents, or is it just
summertime,
schools?
you know, my summertime is AAU, so I'm coaching AAU. When school is around, I'm doing full recruitment. So, like last year, I had 33 kids I was recruiting. So I was at different high schools on different visits, and then you got parents that's thinking their kids better than what they are. So when they get their first offer, it's like, well, my kid need to go D1, and it's their first offer in their senior year. It's like it's not realistic. And then you got the kids that get that one offer, then it's like I don't have to put no more work in. So then it's like I'm stressed wanting to, wanting more for you, but you're settling for the bare minimum. So like year round, I'm stressed, and then AAU, I'm coaching girls and boys, so I'm extra stressed because we're not winning by 30 points. Or they're okay with just winning by 2 points. Or they winning half the game, and then the last 5 minutes they want to slack off. So it's just stress all around the whole thing.
Look, you got me stressed. Think about how much stress you on. I mean, stress on top of stress.
This is my last tournament this weekend. I'm taking off for the rest of June, and then I go back in July. But yeah, my boys are stressing me out. My girls are doing what's needed. My boys got the big head, got the egos, and they just not doing what I need them to do.
Now, one of your players I know personally because he's my adopted nephew because me and his mom are close. Luke Powell.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm telling, like I said, him and his mom, we go back to college, and she still does my hair and everything. But when I found out he goes to Coach Trigger, I'm like, hey, when I tell you, when I do interviews, when I talk to you all, I listen a lot. I may not even comment, but I listen, I absorb, and I can feed off your personalities. I get ideas. So I'm telling, hey, Coach Trigger is the truth. Coach Trigger is. I'm telling you, like she don't play. The favorite line I like that you said about your players when they try to go up to dunk to somebody, balls in the face.
Balls in the face.
Man. I never got that. That was so funny. But I'm just like, you passionate about yourself, though. You're serious about your players. And that's what when I'm just talking and hearing from, that's what I'll tell you, Lauryn. All of this, you all are dope. And I make sure when I talk to other people that is known. I just don't want it just to keep it, it's somebody streaming and looking at the show here. But like I said, I'm in a beauty shop or I'm in a family gathering. I'm like, man, let me tell you when I talk to this coach or somebody mentioned something. I'm like, hey, Daddy, I interviewed this person and let me tell you what they told me. Like, this was so dope. Like, you guys don't understand. You got impacts and you don't even realize it, but it's just so wonderful to see this. And Coach Stringer, again, you are no joke. And I like the passion that you're giving and you're real about it. Just like Lauryn. You sold me on UCLA, and I'm beyond going back to college. I'm good. I'm over it. But again, if you were there, I'm like, hey, Savannah, Lauryn has me, so you should really, really, really consider. I mean, I would help my daughter or daughters with their decisions, but if how passionate you are and how sincere, I'm like, shoot, somebody who can beat this? You gotta beat it, besides with the money. So yeah, that is really, really dope. Hey, stop
Lauryn, who
laughing.
did you play AAU for?
Sorry.
Say it again.
Who did you play AAU for out here?
It was originally Team Adidas, and then we got absorbed into Missouri Phenom.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say BBS.
And Lauryn, I'm sorry, go ahead. In your pastime, you do photography, is that correct?
I do. I started in high school, and then it was sort of just a hobby on and off in college. But now I've been taking like senior photos and stuff and things like that. But yeah, I love taking pictures. Yes.
I see some of this beautiful photography work you have. Please do share. If you give us a quick little background on these pictures you've taken.
This is Michaela Onyenwere. She is the reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year. Slight plug for my best friend, but that is the beautiful UCLA campus behind her. And so I'm biased. I love taking pictures of Black women, especially because I think there's so much that you have to know about lighting and how to accentuate how we look. And so I think sometimes if you're not paying attention to that, you don't want to be intentional, that you can kind of wash out some of our best features. And so I love taking pictures of her, and I just did my other friend Kayla's photos. And so just to have the sun off of all their melanin, it's just obviously such a vibe. You see it in her smile. And so, but yeah, those are the Kayla ones I just did. And so, and it's just fun, you know, to kind of let people see themselves and like see them feel good about something that you're really passionate about. So it was nerve-wracking to start, but it's been really cool to kind of see it all come together over the years.
Oh, that's dope.
You got your own little branding there on the bottom left.
Yeah, a little logo.
Nice.
Photography.
Nice. Is there like a website for it?
I'm on Instagram. It's really, I think it's @L_photography. Yeah.
All right.
Right, you had time to do that with all the other stuff you're busy dealing with, but that's what's up. Definitely your passion and your pastime favorites, and yeah, shout out to you. Those look really good. So keep up that great work as well.
Thank you.
Man, this one little here, girl. Hold on, real tight. Okay, Miss Miller's gonna leave us soon. Okay, we just have one more question for you. Can I ask her? Yeah, okay, is that okay? All right, thank you. So last but not least, we are a part of Cardinal Nation around here. You know, you're from the St. Louis area. So I don't know if your dad and mom, everybody else was a part of Cardinal Nation, or they watch it as much as we do around here. But number one, are you a true Blue Cardinals fan? And two, how do you represent St. Louis out there in LA?
The second question is easy to answer. I know everybody I have met out here and who I'm still attached to. I know they're sick of me because I'm quick to talk about it. If I introduce myself, I'm always big to just say I'm from St. Louis. And so if someone tries to introduce me and they say she's from Missouri, I'm like, no, I'm from St. Louis. There's definitely a difference. Please get the distinction correct. I introduce myself as from St. Louis. But I'm super proud just to be from St. Louis. And if you know the area, I'm quick to tell you I'm from Kirkwood specifically. It's just something about being raised there and just the traditions and knowing I have so many people at home who are just proud of what I'm doing and who I've become out here. And so I do have a special pride about just kind of continuing to put on for the city and knowing that I came out with some other legends of Nafisa, Jason, Shook, Sudden. And so there's definitely like a different positive pressure that we want to continue to kind of carry the torch and be the next generation that continues to promote the city for all the good. There's so much kind of tragedy and rough news that comes out at times. So it's nice to be a part of some of the positivity and just the bright points of the place. But when it comes to the Blues and the Cardinals, I can't tell you I watch them often or at all. But as soon as the conversation comes up, I'm quick to go to bat about it. So no one has pressed me about stats or facts about the team. So I've been safe so far. But I do. I was just arguing with somebody the other day who's from Chicago. And I was like, you can't actually be a Cubs fan. And so glad he didn't really get into it because I had nothing to go with beyond the fact that Cubs are trash and you're supposed to rep the Cardinals. But again, like I said, I've been safe so far. So I'm going to keep repping the team until someone presses me about more than Pujols and Yachty. But so far I'm okay.
Well, if you meet another Cubs fan out there, their team is trash this year. And that's all you got to know. It's just bad. It's a AAA team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're going to lose a series in Chicago because I said that, but I stand by it. And I went to your Instagram page, and Fred and Bunny, there's an Astros fan that just did pictures. So
Wow.
she's repping the H.
Yeah, good money is good money. Okay, I don't discriminate what they come in for the shoot as long as you pay on time.
Smart. I like that. I love it. Smart. Yes, honey. Oh my goodness, Lauryn, it was such a pleasure having you on here. I think you do have to say farewell to us. Is that correct? Hey, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Please do open invitation. Come back and join us. I love the time here. Love your answering questions and enthusiasm and representing St. Louis. And you're so much ahead of you. I can't wait to hear about more. And I know you make your parents proud, especially Coach Miller, your father. And again, please just tune in to us, but feel free to come back and join us at any time. It was such a pleasure having you, honey.
Will do. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I want to pick your brain some more.
Please. I'm more than welcome. Go for it. Just hit me up.
Will do.
All right. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the Cardinals. But you're welcome if you have time to stay on. If not, it's okay. Coach Stringer, even if you don't watch a lot of baseball, you know, we're here in St. Louis. We love our Cardinals. I know you know about, we've been talking about all season because Pujols came back and we have Wayno and we have Yachty. You know, that's the three amigos. They've been with the club for what, 20 years, right? Jump up. What are you doing?
Just about, yeah.
So I wanted to bring in and talk about the Cardinals real quickly because, as Jumbo just said, the Cubs suck. In our division, the Cardinals are second place in the division. Milwaukee's first, and everybody else is under it. And they're probably going to be like that all season. So that's our true competition in the division is Milwaukee. Everybody else is trash. But I want to get Jumbo's thoughts on how the Cardinals just did a quick roster moves and how the roster move we just did and how the series we just played with the Padres turned out. So give me your thoughts on the roster moves and how we did in this past series.
So what roster moves are you talking about? Because I feel like there's something going on just about every day. But if you're talking about all the young talent that's up, we can talk about that.
Specifically,
the IL moves.
the last week, yes. With the young talent in the last week were ups and downs between AAA people getting called up. Stop. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so we can start with Nolan Gorman. You know, this is the second Nolan on the team. Whenever he first came up against the Pirates, it's the Pirates. You know, he did good. It's still a major league team, but then he's seen some better, well-known pitchers, and he was struggling for a little bit, but he made some small adjustments, and he just went off over this past weekend. So, you know, he's got a couple homers now on his resume, and some RBIs. He's been playing good ball. Sadly, right now, he's, you know, battling a little back injury, but hopefully it's nothing like it was during spring training. But he's been fun to watch. He got Juan Yepes. He's, you know, he's going to be up here, you know, until he starts struggling as well. Matthew Liberatore, he's Nolan Gorman's best friend. He his second start in the big leagues against the Brewers. That was nice to see. I was telling Brendan that, you know, if you can have Liberatore pitch good against the Cubs and the Brewers and then just be okay right there, you feel pretty good. You know, you feel nice when you have a young kid come up and pitch good against rivals in your division. So he looked really good on Saturday, I think it was. But, yeah, you know, we got young talent. Brendan Donovan, I don't think he gets talked about enough because he's not one of the big names, you know, with our AAA teams. But he's been really good and fun to watch, and he plays all over the place. But with the IL, you know, you have Flaherty. He just threw a bullpen, so hopefully he's going to be back soon. Tyler O'Neill's hopefully going on a rehab assignment soon for his shoulder, and then Dylan Carlson as well. Like, we got big names right now that are not playing, and we're only a couple games behind the Brewers. So I don't know. I'm trying not to get too high about this team because there's a bright future, but we've seen what they've done in the past. You know, like last June, we might have won like 8 games. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
This future looks different, though. The bright future as far as the up and coming, especially with like we bringing up Gorman and what's his name. Yeah, you agree too? Yeah, she agrees too. She said this future does look bright.
Yeah, I did see something like that on Twitter. How you know they got a pretty easy schedule coming up in June. Too easy, it seems like, and you know we just beat a really good team in the Padres at home. But I don't know. I was saying this the other day. I feel like when Giovanni Gallegos did not cover first base against the Mets, that kind of changed how we were playing for a little bit. And now we're starting to get going again. So hopefully we can keep it going and take advantage of these bad teams. Because even though they're bad teams, doesn't mean you can't lose to them, because the Dodgers have lost 2 straight to the Pirates at home. So
it happens. But I was talking about the Cardinals. We show our true colors after the All-Star break. So we're doing good now, and hopefully Goldschmidt gets Player of the Month because he's had a phenomenal May, and which is kind of early for us. Usually we're not clicking like this early. So June June, hold your breath because we could fall off real easily. But All-Star break, once we get past that, that's where you see the true Cardinals. She agrees with her mom. I'm telling you. See, you know.
Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt was from another planet in May, and he kept it going today as well. He broke the record for the most extra base hits in a single month, which was lastly held by Sam Musial and Albert Pujols. So you might know those two names. They're pretty big players. And so now Paul Goldschmidt holds that in Cardinals history, which is absolutely insane to think about. So hopefully he keeps it going. I said last night, as soon as the calendar flips, Nolan Arenado's going to get it going. And he was 2 for 3 today with the homer. So hopefully he's, him and Goldie, we can get them going at the same time. That would be very nice, And Tommy Edman, can't talk enough good stuff about this guy either. Like there's exciting parts to this team, but I don't want to jinx it because I do believe in jinx. I don't want to get too excited or whatever.
You're like the superstitious players of baseball because they're the most superstitious athletes out there. So you just like them. You're being a softball player, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, but like again though, there are things that need to be better. Our rotation, it needs to be better. Jordan Hicks is injured. Obviously we know Flaherty's out, but then you have Dakota Hudson. Today in the first inning, he threw almost 30 pitches, but then he settled down, which this was like probably one of Dakota Hudson's best pitch games in a year. Take away the Tommy John year that he just had, but that's what we need from him all the time. It doesn't need to be 7 shutty or 7 innings and 1 run, but we need him to go deep because our bullpen's already shot, so hopefully I'm hoping that Jose Lock and company makes a move. I'm not holding my breath on that though because J.A. Happ retired and he was our only good option out there. Fred would probably think that's funny because that's what they go for, the low hanging fruit. And he retired yesterday. So
okay.
That's who we got last year. But I don't know. I guess the low hanging fruit right now could be Dallas Keuchel. The White Sox just released him over the weekend. So now he's considered a free agent.
Mosaic is looking because they don't like to open up their wallet. They try to get talent for cheap. I mean, I hate calling them like that because DeWitt, Mosaic, all of them, they put decent people out on the field year after year. Some years recently haven't been as good, but I say, like I said, with these young bucks, these people getting called up from the minors are changes over the last week. It looks really good and promising. So barring any injuries, I can definitely see this team going to the playoffs and making a good run. So not just making it to the first round and we getting booted out. Like we can actually push it maybe even to the NL pennant race. But again, the only other thing, which I always question every offseason when it comes to our pitching moves. I know Waino will show up in the playoffs, but we got to get there. So we need some other good pitchers because you're just saying we got an easy June coming up. Fine. But what about the tough competition? We can't go far if we don't have good pitching to help us get there. So
and that's been the thing that fans have talked about for the last 2 off seasons now is, with their rotation this year, Miles has been good besides his last start, but he's coming off injury. And same thing with Dakota Hudson. They're coming off injury. And then when Jack Flaherty comes back, he's coming off injury. So we've this entire time have been depending on 40-year-old Adam Wainwright, which he's holding up right now, obviously. He just threw a gem last night, struck out 10 guys. But that's just always been the Cardinals thing is going into the offseason. We need pitching. And they kind of they get Drew Verhagen, who, right now he's pitching pretty good coming out of the bullpen, but is that going to last? I don't know. But we'll see. And then obviously we could talk about shortstop too with the shortstop class we just had. But I think the Cardinals wanted to go the cheap route, obviously. And then they have, I think their goal in mind was always going to be Gorman at second and Tommy Edman at shortstop, which, Tommy Edman's, he's still playing Gold Glove shortstop right now like he was at second base. So hopefully that sticks.
I got you. Okay. I'm going to hold my breath. But All-Star break, I'm like, not so much. Last but not least, what's going on in other parts of MLB? Like I said, the Brew Crew is the only competition we're going to face. It seems like in this.
I will say though about the Brewers, they've had a very, very easy schedule so far to start the year. Like I think we've had, and not just me saying it as a Cardinals fan, like statistically, we've had one of the hardest schedules to start off a year. And then the Brewers and the Dodgers have had really easy schedules to start the year. So we'll see how that plays out at the end of it. But I think the Brewers are going to have a tougher schedule come in June, and they don't have Freddie Peralta. He's going to be out for a couple months, and they don't have Brandon Woodruff, who's going to be out for a couple months, probably with an ankle injury. So right now they're depending on some rookies, Corbin Burns, who won the Cy Young last year, but then also Eric Lauer, who's been really good. So we'll see what happens. They might be in on some of these pitchers that are out there that we want the Cardinals to get.
Okay, verdict's out. We'll see what Mose like is gonna do. You know, they like to be cheap, but still get some talent. So again, we shall see. Last but not least, Jobo. I know you know Jason Tatum, even if you don't follow him. So we gotta see what's gonna what are the Celtics gonna do for the NBA Finals, because they are facing the best team over the last 10 years. The Warriors have pretty much been the best. No, not last 10 years. The last 5 years. The best team in the NBA. I had them winning. No, I didn't think they were going to win it all, but I knew they were going to come back into the playoffs, and people were not trying to count them in. And here they are in the finals. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and the rest of the Celtics squad had their work cut out going against the Warriors in the finals. But I think it should be a good matchup. So, talking to cousin, talking to my husband, he's thinking, oh, it'll be the Warriors in 5, maybe 6. I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't think they can go to 7 games. And they're saying because, of course, Warriors have much experience. They've already got, 3 titles. Plus, they've been here before so many times. And the Celtics, this is their first time with this group going to the finals, excluding Horford. But point is, I would like to see 7-game series. Of course, I'm rooting for Jason Tatum, representing St. Louis. You know, there's a lot of people out there how, you know, for baseball fans, some of them don't like the Yankees or the Cardinals. That's how the same hate is towards Celtics. So I'm like pro Jason Tatum, so that's his squad. The Celtics, so be it. The Warriors, I like the Warriors though. I'm a Steph fan. I like Klay Thompson, Draymond. I like that nucleus. We know about Jordan Poole. Him being the 6th man is the bomb. Like, I think it will be a good series, and I hope it does go 6 or even 7. I just think people are not giving the Celtics enough credit. So we shall see. But Jobo, do you think? I know you don't know about Tatum. Do you think that he can help St. Louis and put us on the map and take this to a 6-game series?
Well, it's funny because I was actually telling Brendan the other day, like, everyone that watches the show that's been a part of the show knows that basketball obviously isn't my strong front, but you know, the Celtics, they've been exciting to pay attention to. I mean, over the weekend, you know, after the Cardinals game, me and Brendan's like, okay, let's watch them. Let's see what Tatum's doing, you know, and just, you know, St. Louis kid wants to, you know, makes us want to watch it. And the only exciting basketball to me is playoff basketball. The other stuff, Bunny, you fall asleep to baseball. I fall asleep to basketball during the regular season. So I'm being serious. So, you know, watching it, the fouls in basketball, I can't even. I don't even want to get into it right now. But anyways,
help her, Lord, help her. She's speaking blasphemy. Falling asleep on basketball, no.
I said the playoffs are cool, but I mean, they won 7 games with Miami, right? So I mean, and obviously Miami's not Golden State, and everyone knows Golden State's, you know, obviously the favorite in this, but I don't see why they couldn't force it to a 6 and hopefully 7. I told Brendan, you know, Golden State's probably going to win, and experience is a big part of that. But I mean, why? It would just be awesome to see Tatum, you know, be able to bring that home like Pat Maroon has with the Cup a couple times, you know, bring a trophy home to St. Louis and, you know, help put us on the map a little bit.
Gotcha. Co-Stringer.
Yes, ma'am.
So give me your true thoughts before we go out of here. The NBA
Give my
Finals.
what? So
Your
this is the
thoughts on
thing.
the NBA Finals.
This is the thing. Boston is my number one team, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm from California, so I gotta go with the Warriors too. So I'm going to just enjoy the playoffs. I hope one of them win. One of them have to win. But
I hope one of them wins.
I don't really know how to go with it because I love both teams. I'm not as stressed that they both are in the finals, but I don't know who's gonna win. Of course, I want the Boston to win. Of course, I want the Warriors to win. So I'm gonna say my all-around team. I'm gonna go with Boston. I'm gonna say Boston's gonna win.
You're like
St. Louis, Jason Tatum. Thank you for that answer.
You're like me.
I've been a fan since like Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, the Rondo.
Me too. KG was my fave. Oh my gosh, yes.
I don't know.
You're like me if the Cardinals and Astros ever meet up in the World Series. Like, I'm obviously going to want the Cardinals to win because, you know, they're the Cardinals, but the Astros are the Astros and they're my team. So I just hope that never happens.
It's tough. It's tough. If the Warriors win, I get all free gear. Always. I get all the free gear. If Boston wins, I know that my number one team won. So,
okay. Well, you just make sure when your heart is on for Boston, shout out to Jason Tatum Tatum. And again, hopefully the hometown person pulls it through. And if nothing else, I just want to see a good series. I don't want to see these blowouts. Remember how with the Heat and the Celtics, every game for like 3 to 4 games, there were blowouts, or not blowouts, in the second, third quarter, like 20-point leads and 25-point leads. That's not entertaining. Eventually, one of the games, it was actually close finally. But I'm like, why do we have to wait like 3 and 4 games into the series to finally see it close?
They're going to make this go to game 7. I already know they're going to want to make it as nail-biting as they can get and then have a game 7, man. You can't even bet on these games anymore because it's not predictable. You just never know what the money game is going to be. So I'm just going to watch it and enjoy it.
Okay. All right. Well, next month we have Ladies Night. The finals will be over for NBA. NHL finals should be wrapping up by then, Jobo. Is that correct?
Sorry, I was reading that comment. What'd you say?
July. So next month for Ladies Night, the NBA finals will be over with. So we'll see what team is prevailed in that. But what about the NHL? Will they have their finals by then as well too, by the beginning of July?
They should, yeah. Oh. Yeah, they should.
It's an off year because usually the NHL finals is before the NBA finals. They're like a week or 2 off usually, but this time the NHL is after the NBA.
Yeah, it was just because of all the, the season starting weird because of COVID and all that stuff.
So yeah, she'll be back on track next season. But last but not least, what did Jared's son say? St. Louis Tatum and the Ticks.
The Ticks.
Oh, that's why I call the Celtics the Ticks. Okay. Well, thanks, Jared, for the confidence. I hope they do pull it off. And shout out again to the St. Louis Tatum, man.
I was like, who the hell are the Ticks?
Ticks.
I didn't know people call Celtics the Ticks. I was just like the Celtics.
All right.
Jared taught me something new. Thanks, Jared.
Learn something new every day.
I'm gonna learn.
Oh my goodness. Y'all had so much fun. For me to have this little cold and be a little sick, man, you guys made it worth it. Appreciated. Another wonderful ladies' night. Shout out to our special guest, Ms. Lauryn Miller. It was wonderful learning so much about what she's doing and her role at UCLA and her endeavors. And of course, Money McGee was on there earlier as well. That's our Miss Missouri and hopefully soon to be Miss USA. She will definitely keep us posted on her journey with that. And of course, Coach Stringer, I forgot to mention this, you already had it on social media. You are a recent college graduate. You got your master's in
special education.
So congratulations to you, Coach Stringer. Another degree, man. I'm telling you, people, y'all sleeping on these ladies, man. When I say these are some dope women, dope. Okay. And of course, Jobo is our guru here with everything St. Louis Blues hockey and Cardinals. And even though us Blues fans got the blues, hope it won't last long. The Cardinals will revive us and keep us entertained all summer. Ms. Williams, again, our faithful viewer, thank you so much for your comments and keeping engaged with all of our questions and comments and everything in between. And for everyone that is tuned in on Facebook, thank you for joining us. YouTube, make sure you are subscribed. Please subscribe and click on that. I can't ring the bell because my baby fell asleep in my arm. Sorry, guys.
Ding,
But
ding, 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 ding.
there you go. I like it. I like it. And Jobo, let them know anytime they subscribe, what happens?
You will be notified.
That's what I'm talking about. And for all our listeners on Hot 365, thank you. And we also have the show archived on the Roku channel. Again, end of this month, we will have the Man Cave. That's the last Wednesday every month. And of course, next Ladies Night, I was on the first Wednesday of the month. Another exciting show to come. Shout out to again our host with the most, DJ Fred, aka Smoooth, who just happened to have a wonderful wedding reception last week. Shout out to him and the missus, Miss Jamie.
Yeah,
and everyone out there, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. It's time to go. She already wants to sleep. I'll let she really sleep.